Let's step back to 1991 and talk about the original rockin' Coffin. Steve Collada from Creative Car Stereo in Massachusetts. This was in the Car Audio and Electronics in October 1991, which happens to be 30 years ago. When I first saw this in the magazine, it just really blew me away with the layout of the car audio equipment inside of a coffin. And let's check out some of those components. The Pioneer DEH 750 CD player, Nakamichi EC200 crossover, audiophile 2.5 5.25 mids and highs. We also had a Rockford Fosgate Punch 45 in a gold Shroud, Alpine 3520 gold plated subwoofer amplifier, and a Soundstream SS12 subwoofer. Overall, this was just an incredible build. This affected me all these years ago, and I've always wanted to redo one of these for myself. So thanks to my friend Shawn King, Master Fabricator, we have one for 2021. We're going to show it off to you and talk about what it took to build it.
Yeah, boy!
First up, we'll show off the plans. This was probably the hardest part of this coffin system, is deciding which components to go with. You can see my original drawings where I had the items laid out on the front. Had a rough idea of the components I wanted to use, mostly Rockford Fosgate and Boston Acoustics. On the back, I wanted it to look the same as the old one. Be really clean with plexiglass, so you can see the amplifier, you can see all the wiring, all that good stuff. The difference being on the new one that I wanted to build, I wanted you to be able to play it with the door closed. That way it would give that extra wow factor. Now let's have a conversation about the builder of this magnificent coffin. What's up, guys? I've got Shawn King here, and we're going to talk about the coffin project that I had him do for me. So this year, it was probably early summer. I might need to get some help with this. So I hit up Shawn and said, hey, Shawn, would you be interested in building a coffin? And Shawn accepted, luckily. This was actually a project I was looking at doing for many years. I would say probably since the first time I saw it back in 1991, I kept thinking about how I could rebuild something like this. So the last, 8 or 10 years, every time August would come around, I'd think about, man, I need to start this because I really want to do it this year. And it would never fail. It would get to be October, and I'd be like, I don't have enough time to do it.
Yeah, I would say that was probably the very first challenge because obviously a general idea of the shape, but like as far as dimensions go and everything, I wasn't really sure exactly what it needed to be. So I kind of, obviously you don't want it too small, you don't want it too big. I figured a 6 foot tall coffin would probably be a pretty good size. So I basically, I'm 5'10" myself, so I basically used myself as a template and took my height and then also the width of my shoulders. And essentially, like, I could fit inside of that perfectly. That's really the biggest reason why I picked up the CNC is enabled to do some of the logos and the text and stuff like that.
The idea here, and yeah, we did talk about it because even in my little horrible drawing that I showed you, I wanted to have it so that you could play it with it closed. Mm-hmm. The original rocking coffin from 1991, when you closed it up, it was sealed off, so there was no way for the sound to make it outside of the enclosure. And you'll see when we get to the end and we show the demo, the difference. What's really cool about this is it's kind of hidden. It still works, but then when you open the door, that's when people's minds just get blown.
So the spectrum analyzer initially is, I really kind of like how that particular portion came out, because when we first got the spectrum analyzer off of eBay, it was going to be cool. We knew it was going to be cool. I didn't really like the fact that you could see all of the individual LEDs on it. These nuts. So I was like, well, I need to figure out a way to make this blend in better. So I chose to pick up some smoked plexiglass. So now, there's a layer of smoked plexiglass on top of the spectrum analyzer. And then I did a black plexi trim ring around the outside of that.
Now, I decided to go with Boston Acoustics mids and tweeters because these are the ones I always really liked. And I had a brand new set of 5 1/4s. I really wanted to use 6 1/2s, but I didn't have any that were new. And I also had a backup set of 5 1/4s. That way, if one of them blew, then I would have a replacement. So that's why we decided to go with 5 1/4s. And I think it turned out fine.
You had that Chrome 300, and I kind of thought that it would be a good idea to put some type of Chrome subwoofer in there, just so everything matches really well. Had the basket Chrome plated, and already had these decals made up from a while ago, and so we kind of just made our own little Rockford Power Series, HX2 series, whatever you want to call it, to just try to make everything look really nice on the inside.
For the head units of this Coffin system, I decided to go with old school Rockford Fosgate gear, including the 8250 Ti head unit from around 2002. This was their high-end sound quality head unit, as well as the PA1 preamp equalizer. This was from the late 80s. You can tell by the Dracula font there on the Rockford Fosgate. In addition to the RS Bloomy HD audiophile Bluetooth 5.0 receiver, yes, we wanted to add some functionality into this. For today's music, being able to add Bluetooth was definitely on the top of the list. The amplifier selection was much more difficult because I had so many choices to go with. I thought the single amplifier would be really cool. The Power 300 MOSFET, as you can see here, is what we decided to go with. However, I did have a chrome shroud, which this was really important because I wanted pretty much the back of all the components to either show off reflective copper or chrome in some ways, and this just really looked good overall. You can see the layout here of the front of the Coffin, the LEDs backlit, the speakers, the huge spectrum analyzer there on the front, as well as the CNC logos, and then again more LEDs down at the bottom around the subwoofer. Kind of makes it like a Sterling Vegas subwoofer in some ways, but no, that's a Rockford Fosgate custom Frankenwoofer, and a 3-inch flared port at the bottom as well. Now, if you want to see the full interview with Shawn King that talks about the build, check links in the video description. I'll have a link to that. Next up, we'll try It Bump Doe demo. And yes, this is much better in person, but here you go. In my original design, and of course in the original Rockin' Coffin, the backside of the unit was supposed to show off everything, all the different components, the clean wiring and all that. So as you can see here, on the backside at the top, you see the Rockford Fosgate logo, you see the box, which includes the Rockford Fosgate source units, and then the backside of these brand new Boston Acoustics mid-range speakers from 1994. In addition, this Rockford Fosgate logo here that's cut out from the acrylic, you might notice here there's a place where your finger can push through, and yes, that controls the different modes of the spectrum analyzer, and there's 50 different display modes. And here I'm cycling through just a few of them to give you an idea of the different modes, but I think you'll find out the one that I show off the most is the coolest mode. That's the one I leave it on. Now at the bottom of the inside on the back, there were some standoffs, And what this was for is for the amplifier, but you'll see first underneath the amplifier, the spectrum analyzer power supply, as well as the input section, and a distribution block were mounted underneath where the amplifier rests. And then here we'll show the amplifier sitting on top, and you can see the Rockford Fosgate Power 300 amplifier, the Boston Acoustics passive crossovers, and at the bottom a squirrel cage fan. You can also see the extremely clean wiring, which is what I was looking for to show that off. At the very bottom, we have the Rockford Fosgate Frankenwoofer, is what I call it. It's a 12-inch Power Series / HX2 combination. Again, this is rebuilt, very clean, nice motor, has a custom sticker on the back, built by Shawn King, 600 watts RMS. And here is the overall of the back of the Coffin. Again, super clean, really nice with the chrome. It's hard to get pictures of it because it's so reflective. The Coffin project overall turned out amazing. I have 3 people especially I really want to thank. First off, Shawn King for taking my rough drawing and turning it into a masterpiece. Also, Bassotronics came through like a boss and created a song for me that I could use in the video. So thank you, Bassotronics. Check him out, links in the video description. Then of course, my buddy Scott Hall took this horrible drawing and was able to make it into this super dope caricature. He does fantastic drawings. Check out the link in the video description as well for him. Make sure you hire him to do some of your drawings. Now, what I'd really like to see moving forward in the future is every Halloween, I'd like to see you guys projects for the Coffin. I kind of brought back to life Steve Collada's from 1991 to 2021. I'd like to see what you guys do in the future. Till next time, this is Big D. I'm out of here.